All right, peace and gratitude. This is Reverend Dr. Carl Falade Banderanwa, and we're going to do a class, or this is a class today. That did not sound right. Let me start over. Peace and blessings, or peace and gratitude. This is Reverend Dr. Kamara Falade Banderanwa, and today I'm going to do a class. And I put that in air quotes because it's an informal class and just to educate you about what it looks like on my side of the world and what I do in my spiritual practice as a diviner, medium, high priestess. So let me share my screen. Oh, wait, let me go back just so you can see my screen. Let me share the screen. Okay. So I was looking on not Facebook, YouTube, trying to find videos about skull candle interpretation. And I didn't find anything that addressed my concern. So I was like, well, let me just make one. And hopefully it will fall into someone's algorithm and it'll help them. So today is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. All right, so I did a skull candle and I should know better. But whenever you do any type of working, always you should always do divination first to see if this is the type of spell that you need to do for whatever it is you're inquiring about. And it's always good to do divination to see if you really even need to do a spell. You may not even need to do a spell or working. It may not the situation may not have escalated to the point that you need to do a spell or working. It could clearly, be resolved just with a reading or with prayer or just taking a nap, or just going to your altar. So, and speaking to your ancestors and talking to your ancestors. So, I know this, but then I didn't follow my own my own advice, the wisdom that I know, my own protocol or the protocol, I should say. So, I did this skull candle and I did it on October 19, 2025. And the dates are important as I'll share later on in this class. So as you can see, I started it at like 3 o'clock in the morning because when you do a skull working, before you even light the candle, you are speaking to it for a number of days. You can speak to it for one day. You can speak to it for 3 days, 7 days, however long you feel that you need to speak to it. But the skull represents your target, and you speak to it and you tell that the target, which is representative of the skull, what you want it to do or what you want he or she to do. And so you speak to it, you command it, you say what you want them to do. And you can do this, like you can do it for one day, maybe like 20-30 minutes, just talk to it and say what it is you want this person to do, and then you could light it. Or you could do it for 3 days straight. You just speak to it, tell it tell the target, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to do, you're going to do this, you're going to say this, you're going to see this, or you're going to taste this, or you're going to act this way. You could do it for 7 days, 9 days, and then on the 8th day, light it. And then on the 10th day, light it. So I lit this on, I spoke to it for, I want to say probably about a week. I spoke to it, told, I knew who the target was, what I wanted the target to do. I spoke to it. And then on Sunday, October 19th, 2025, I lit it at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. So immediately at 3 o'clock in the morning, the photo that you see in the middle is what happened. Now, you can get this. Actually, this is a good time to buy these type of skull candles. They're called bleeding skull candles at stores, because it is Halloween time. And I've had this candle for some time, and I decided to use it for this particular working. And I remember buying it. Actually, I bought it at Family Dollar. It was on clearance. It was after Halloween and it was on clearance. And so I bought it like a while ago. I mean, like years ago, at least 2, 3 years ago that I've had it. So when I lit it at 3 o'clock in the morning, immediately the wax came out the right eye. Okay. Immediately. And then it burned all the way until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. So that Monday. So it burned for about a good 9 or 10 hours. However, I wouldn't indicate this to be a successful burn. It started doing the work. More work is needed, but it wasn't a successful burn, as you can see, because it didn't melt all the way. And it only melted certain parts of the skull, which I'm going to get into. So as you can see on this picture right here on the left side of your screen, it started working on the right temporal lobe. It started working on the right temporal lobe. And that's about it. The wax, as you can see, is a dip right there. So the wax started melting right there. So it did start working on the right temporal lobe. And then on the back, it was this string of wax, which when you see other pictures later on in this class, you'll see what this represents, or whatever your intuition tells you that it represents. But I took it to represent what I'm going to show you later on. But it was this one skinny dripping of wax right down the middle on the back of the head. Okay. So that was the results. Here's the results that you see. All right. So let's go into a deeper dive. So the right temporal lobe, where you saw that dip, you saw the dip, right? Where it started to, the wax started to melt. Well, the right temporal lobe, when I asked about it with this particular person, it is damaged, or what is another word I want to use for damaged? It's not operating at its full function, at its full functionality. Is not, there's some blockages. That's it. It's some blockages with this person's right temporal lobe. Now, when I was speaking to it, I spoke around like the forehead. I spoke in front, the forehead, the right, the left temporal lobes, the back. I spoke all around that skull, in the ears, everything. All right. So my words, the way the wax melted, let me know that my words did penetrate the right side of this particular person. Okay. So the right temporal lobe is increased aggressive behavior if it's damaged, or if it's not functioning at its highest capacity or at a healthy capacity, if it's blocked. It can lead to increased aggressive behavior, alter personality, and affective behavior, including increased irritability, anger, or feelings of anger or panic, issues with memory, language comprehension, especially understanding spoken words. I can see that. Once I started like reading and interpreting the candle and doing my research as spirit was leading me, I can definitely see why this working there was so much resistance, the blockages, why it wasn't melting, why there was so much resistance, because this person is not operating from a healthy state of mind. And the right side, they do exhibit aggressive behavior and definitely have issues with comprehending language or words. And that is I why this wasn't a successful burn or a successful spell, because I was wanting them to communicate the truth, to communicate self accountability. And obviously, there's some blockage and damage there because language comprehension. So this person was not even really fully comprehending my words. I wasn't speaking in a way in which they understand, which is typically aggression anyway, yelling and cussing and fussing. All right, right eye. Now, when I lit it at 3 o'clock in the morning, immediately you saw it in the picture. Immediately, the wax pulled out of the right eye. So the right eye controls the left side of the brain, the left temporal lobe. Damage means difficulty comprehending speech, word finding issues, inability to learn new information. So the wax that was coming out the right eye controls the left side of the brain. So once again, we got that repeating, having difficulty comprehending speech. There was difficulty comprehending what I was saying. I wasn't speaking in a way in which they understand or in a way in which they communicate. More than likely, I should have been yelling and screaming and cussing, because that's how they communicate. And that would have probably penetrated the skull or the brain better, to speak in a way in which they are accustomed to speaking and speaking to other people. I was, quote unquote, being too polite. I should have really just been speaking the way that they speak. And probably they would have comprehended it better. Tears. Now, tears from the right eye indicate healing or wanting or needing healing. So, although the skull itself had very minor places where it melted, with the way that it just poured out of the right eye, it let me know that this person is in need of healing or wanting healing, which I can believe. But because they don't have the words or the language capacity in which to say it, they don't say it. And also, it could be pride, stubbornness, ego. They just don't have the language acquisition to communicate that they need or want healing. And it means that the tears from the right eye means fighting inner battles and needs strength to defeat these battles. It can also mean, and I can believe that as well, that this particular person is fighting inner battles, and they don't have the strength or the capacity to fight these battles. And I understood this later on when I show you later on another step that I took to get clarity on this skull candle burning. Also, it means good luck, letting go of the past, and missing someone. I took it as this was a good omen for me. Um, to let go of the past. I did this working. This was a symbol of me, clearing myself and my energy of letting go of the past. You know, just letting it go and putting it in the hands of the creator and my ancestors and my spirit guides. And also it says, and missing someone, you'll see later on how that is true when we get to the wax part of this class. Also, tears from the right eye means inner transformation and inner spirit working within and unable to focus. I can definitely believe that this person is unable to focus considering where the wax melted as far as in the brain and the skull region. Also, it did let me know that there is some inner work being done on their behalf, but like I said, they just don't have the language and the capacity at this point, or the language acquisition, in order to articulate this inner working. But there is inner working going on within them. So it could be that maybe somebody's in their ear, like talking to them in a way in which they can understand, to get them to change their behavior, or to look at their behavior and rectify the behavior, to look at their behavior and become accountable for their behavior. Is letting me know that there is some inner transformation going on. So even though the candle didn't burn the way I expected, it was still a good sign. It was still a good sign with the wax pooling out of just the one eye. But there's a lot of crown chakra damage or blockage. There's a lot of not knowing how to, because there is damage or blockage to the crown chakra, the brain. Therefore, it's affecting the throat chakra, which is giving them at this moment the inability to articulate. Like, I need healing, I want healing. I did wrong, but I don't know how to articulate it. It could be a fear of articulating it. But yeah. So now now the wax. It was wax, the wax that came out of the right eye. The wax that came out of the right eye, I decided to read that. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna go back. I don't know if you can see it on these pictures. Probably not. Oh, yes, you can. Look at there. You see the heart? You see the heart right there? A heart was formed. The wax formed a heart shape right here, which lets me know that this person is missing communication with me, a relationship with me. They're missing that, and that there is some feelings there of maybe regret or remorse, like they're missing the friendship, the relationship that we had. Okay, so that goes back to when I said here about, where did I say it at? Wanting or needing healing, letting go of the past, and missing someone. So that heart that the wax formed let me know that this person is missing the relationship. They did hear that part. Like the wax, when I interpreted the wax, it did let me know that some of the things I said did get to them. It did get to their spirit. It was communicated to them, to their crown chakra, to their soul. It did penetrate. And one of the things is missing the relationship that we had, which is evidence of, let me go back to it, which is evidence of the heart shape in the wax right there. All right, other things in the wax is probably really hard to see in the pictures, but the wax went when the wax pulled out of the right eye, it started going clockwise. Okay. It started going, no, excuse me. It started going, because clockwise would be, so it started going counterclockwise. So it means that what I want to go away from me is going away from me. So what I wanted to go away from me was that negative behavior, lack of accountability, but really the negative behavior, the negative speech toward me, with it going counterclockwise. And let me change that. So the wax is counterclockwise. So it's moving away. So the behavior, the negative behavior that was a catalyst for this, that was a catalyst that led to me doing the skull spell, it means that it's moving away. It's moving away. And it's moving away from the person too. Because the wax, when it came out of the right eye, it started moving, it started forming counterclockwise. So it's moving away. So there is some change. Some change did start in the behavior with this person. Okay. Now, cascade, when a wax cascades, it means that change is on the way. And cascade, so let's go back. I don't know, let's see if we can see. So you see how like the wax started going up, going counterclockwise. And there is a piece of wax that is going away, and I'm going to talk about that. But here you see the wax cascading like a waterfall falling out the eyes, right? That means that change is on the way, which is good because that's what it was here. That's why I wanted to do it, to change this person's behavior. Now, wax flood, something is out of my control. So when the wax flooded, this is considered like a wax flood. This right here. There is something that is out of my control, which makes sense, is her changing. I don't have any control over that. Only, she can control that. Also, I can't control the time frame, how long it's gonna take. Can't control that. That is left up to spirit, how that's gonna happen. And it's eventually left up to her. When it's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, it's left up to her. Then we have a partial burn. So this is considered, let's go back, a partial burn. So there's still business left unfinished. A lot of business left unfinished. A lot. And it's letting me know that it's really on her. Now I could go back, identify, I could identify what another spell I could do or whatever, but at this point, it's really on her, on this person. And I I can only do so much on my end. And I've done what I was, supposed to do. And I'm gonna tell you some more later on. But this was the beginning. All right. So we finished with the wax insight. So let's go to the next step. So after that, I was led to do, now you notice the wax on the back of the skull. It's this long, it's this skinny string of wax. And it's interesting because 1, 2, maybe 3, 4. Let's see if I can zoom in, because it's interesting, because that is the points that came up in the when I was led to do the next phase to this divination. So the root chakra, sacral chakra, it's here, the crown, throat, and the heart. Those were those, when I did this energy work, those were the chakras that stood out. So I didn't understand it at the time, because I was like, what is this skinny string of wax at the back? But that's when spirit led me to do the energy healing, and these were the chakras that stood out. So you got the root, the sacral, the heart, the throat, and the crown. So spirit was speaking to me and I didn't even realize it at the time. Like, you're going to do some energy work, and these are the chakras that you need to pay attention to and let you know what's influencing this behavior. Okay. And what's influencing her being resistant to what you wanted her to do. So it was giving me a heads up, and I didn't even realize it. So I did. And if you look now, keep that picture in mind. Okay. And now, if you look at when I do energy healing, I do distant energy healing. You notice it looks like that piece of wax. So let me tell you what came up. So the root chakra, remember I said when I looked at that long string of wax dripping at the back of the head, and spirit was telling me it's the root chakra, the sacral chakra, heart, throat, and crown that's influencing this person's behavior. So when I did the energy healing, this is what came up. So the root chakra, I realized that this person is, let's see, the root chakra. She lacks passion, light to create security for self. That's the root chakra. The root chakra is about your get up and go, about your ability to create security and stability for yourself, or feeling secure and stable in yourself or in who you are. And there's no fire there. There's no motivation. There's no passion there at all to get up, go, and create stability and security for oneself. None there whatsoever. So the root chakra is blocked or damaged. So that would have to go back to something that happened in childhood, because there's no get up and go there. No get up and go. So that would explain to me why she's so resistant to change or taking accountability, because the root chakra is dead or blocked or lifeless. There's no passion, there's no energy, there's nothing there. The sacral chakra, or the solar, I kept saying sacral, it's the solar. It was the solar. It's the root, the solar, the heart, throat, and third eye. So the solar chakra came up was using sexuality for abundance and prosperity. So this person is used to or accustomed to, in order to get security, to get abundance, to get prosperity, I'll just use sex. I'll use sex. Okay, I'll use sex. And so it would make sense. Why would I have to be accountable for anything that I do when it's not going to affect me financially or abundantly or prosperity or prosper or in the form of prosperity? Is not going to affect me in the form of prosperity or wealth or finances, because I can do what I want, say what I want, behave in an erratic way, because as long as I'm, good in bed or got a person mesmerized sexually, I'm good. So my behavior is not going to affect me in as far as money goes or finances goes, because I already know how to make sure that that part of my life is set through sex. So as long as I got this person or whoever, under my control sexually, I'm good. So, I can do whatever I want to do because this person will take care of me. Whereas if you're talking about a person who they are their sole provider, they're the head of the house, they have to provide, then they behave differently, they move differently. She's not the head of the house, she's not the sole provider. And because clearly the root chakra is blocked or damaged or is very weak. So as long as she can, have sex and do whatever, she's straight. So anything that she does won't affect that, because all she got to do is keep the sex good and the person mesmerized by the sex, and she good. So it doesn't matter if, she does things wrong or negative things, because it's not going to affect her money. All right. There we have the throat or the heart. The heart is the home. The home. So I put down in the notes that her home is her heart. And so, well, no, that wasn't even the heart. Just her home is her heart. So if I wanted to, quote unquote, attack anything to get her attention, it would have to be the home. Like the prospect of losing the home, or just drama in the home, conflict in the home, things breaking down in the home. That would be what I would have to, quote unquote, attack or do a spell on, in order to get her attention, to change her ways, because her heart is attached to the home. Without the home, she has nothing. Her whole, based on this reading, this energy interpretation reading, that the home is everything. Her identity is attached to the home. Without the home, she feels as if she's nothing. She's not important. Her identity and self-esteem is attached to the home. So if I wanted to, I could attack the home. But it's like, really? Yeah. Is it really worth it? Or to get her attention to change, if the home, if she was threatened with the loss of her home, or threatened with having to move. Because remember, I already said the root chakra is damaged, is blocked, is weak. So if she was forced to move, she doesn't have the get up and go in order to, if she's forced to move, to sustain a household. Like, she's comfortable where she's at. So to maybe threaten the loss of the home or to having to move could quite possibly get her to respond in the way I want her to respond. And then if you look at the throat, which makes sense, the throat chakra, it was, I took notes. The throat chakra was resistant to changing how she speaks or communicates, willing to hold on to old habits and patterns of communication, learn how to pause, put on ice her words, which makes sense about how the candle burned with the areas that affected her communication. Definitely need to put on ice, cool down the way she speaks. Instead of always responding aggressively, it is more learning how to take a break or count to 10. And it looks as if the throat chakra is blocked and she's frozen in that particular way of communicating. So I could do a spell or working to help her change her way of communicating, or learning how to communicate from a much more positive and healthy state of being, or to thaw out her words, that maybe the words are stuck and she needs, some working to help thaw out the way that she speaks and she communicates. And then the third eye, like I said, oh no, the crown chakra is, we've already talked about that. That this is, when I did the crown chakra, it's the blank room, the blank room. And so that means that definitely in her mind, in her brain, it's empty, it's void, it's a void there. She's comfortable with the unknown, divine timing, or she has to be learned to be comfortable with the unknown and divine timing instead of always wanting control. And also her mind is empty. So, or her mind is constantly, she doesn't feel her mind. How do I want to put it? Her mind is empty, meaning is symbolizing, or it's a metaphor for darkness. Her mind is just void, it's just dark. Because she hasn't found the language. She hasn't found the get up and go to fill the mind with positive thoughts. So when the root chakra is damaged, which it is, then she doesn't have the passion and the fire to get up and go and to do creative things, to fill her mind up with positive things or creative things. So her mind is just dark, it's just a void. And she does things to stay occupied because there's nothing, because the mind is filled with such darkness and such heavy energy and such negativity. And so her way of controlling things, her way of controlling things, because of the mind is just empty, is void, and is scattered. Then it's counterintuitive, because then she doesn't know how to trust and to embrace divine timing. and to know that, to let things work itself out, to just keep living, and the truth will be revealed. She has to control everything. And she settled in thinking. She settled in her thinking. She feels that some things are just, that this life is just beyond her control. She has no power over it. And so she just takes things for what it is. And that sounds like it's a walking contradiction, because on one hand, she tries to control, and then on the other hand, she gets defeated. Like, because every time she tries to control, she loses. She loses. Every time she tries to control, instead of letting the divine take the wheel, or instead of just letting, things unfold organically, she tries to control, but then she's disappointed every single time she tries to control. So then she just like, okay, well, what's the point? What's the point? So she just be like, this is just the way life is. I can't change it. And then what else with the crown chakra? Doesn't know how to think abstractly, cannot see her role in life, thinks that it's everyone else, and cannot let go of control. So she cannot see her role in her life. She doesn't see how she plays a role in her life, and thinks that it's just everybody else's fault. And the reason being is because when she tries to take control, it fails. It fails. So she just blames everybody else. Well, if they hadn't did this, if they hadn't did that, I wouldn't be in this situation. But doesn't have the capacity to, because her crown chakra is blocked and damaged. She doesn't have the capacity to realize that none of these things would have happened if you had thought differently, if you had made different decisions. So after doing this energy work, I got a clear perspective of who I was dealing with, and that the skull candle wouldn't have worked. I mean, it did. It got some things moving, but it wasn't the best option. It definitely was not the best option. It was not. So let's go back. So the power of 3, when you're dealing with candle workings, 3 days. In 3 days from the time the candle working is done, you should get messages, which I did. I got messages to do an energy clearing on her, or an energy read on her, to read her energy, what's going on. So in 3 days from doing the skull candle, I did get a message. Several messages. And then 3 weeks, I should see some movement. So it hasn't been 3 weeks yet. So, the movement, I'll have to just give you an update later on if I feel that it's important to do so. And then 3 months, you should see a manifestation. If you don't see a manifestation after 3 months, then it means that you go back and you divine and see what kind of spell you need to do. Or you may not even need to do a spell, a candle working or anything like that. It may just be prayer, like I said before, or writing, scripting, journaling. But you do some type of divination if you didn't get the manifestation that you were looking for, to see what to do next. So that is, and then yes, that is it. That is it. I want to share with you to let you know that yes, I won't call it a mistake. It's not a mistake. But yes, I don't always get it right when it comes to workings. when it comes to doing workings and candle magic and things like that, that I have to go back and assess and take notes and redo and revisit and revise and review. Like it's not perfect all the time. It's a learning lesson, it's a learning curve. However, if we go back, I will say this, that with the messages, and I tell people that when you do candle working, and if it's for a target, something outside of yourself, it's still whatever magic you're doing on someone else, you're doing it on yourself as well. So this led me to be like, okay, I need to do some emotional healing, some emotional clearing. So I did some EFT tapping as far as the situation is concerned, to clear out the emotional baggage that's still lingering to me. I did some journaling. I took a spiritual bath. So those were other messages that I got. And also, it will be included in movement. Like because what you do to yourself, you're doing to the collective. We tend to think that, oh, I just want this spell or, whatever magic for myself to get this and this and that. But what you don't understand is that spell, what you're doing for yourself, you're doing for the collective. So me taking the spiritual bath, me clearing out any negative energy or emotional pain or suffering or fear or doubt attached to the situation, clearing that out. Me doing EFT tapping, me journaling, I'm clearing it out. And what I don't realize is, but I realize now, is that me doing that to myself, I'm actually doing that for her. So that will help speed up my manifestation. Because really, she is just a mirror of me, of what needs to be cleared out of me. So the more I heed the messages of spirit regarding the situation and do the work and take the necessary steps to clear myself regarding this working, the sooner I'll see my manifestation. So that is the class for today. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something. You can go to my website if you want to book any of my services or take any of my classes, or you can email me about services or classes and energy healing work or any type of spells or anything like that. You can email me, go to my website. And thank you so much. I know you learned something, because I learned something as well teaching this class. And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful to all the new subscribers. Thank you for all the shares and the likes. And until next time, stay aware and stay grateful.